This morning I chaired another COBRA meeting as we continue to coordinate our response to the situation in Iran and the Middle East. I know that people are worried sick about their family and friends who are caught up in this, about the impact on our lives and our economy, and about the potential for even greater escalation. They can hardly believe that yet again we're seeing missiles and drones falling and civilians in the firing line across the region. So I want to reassure the British public about the action that we're taking. While the region has been plunged into chaos, my focus is providing calm, level-headed leadership in the national interest. That means deploying our military and diplomatic strength to protect our people. And it means having the strength to stand firm by our values and our principles, no matter the pressure to do otherwise. The long-standing British position is that the best way forward for the regime and the world is a negotiated settlement with Iran where they give up their nuclear ambitions. Now, that's why I took the decision that the UK would not join the initial strikes on Iran by the US and Israel. Now, that decision was deliberate. It was in the national interest, and I stand by it. But when Iran started attacking countries around the Gulf and the wider region, the situation changed. Iran has now fired drones and missiles at 10 countries that did not attack them. These are allies of the UK, where we have hundreds of thousands of British people, as well as British military personnel. Our number one priority is protecting our people. And that's why, long before the US and Israeli action last weekend, we had already deployed additional military capabilities to the region to defend our interests. And I want to pay tribute to our brilliant armed forces. Throughout January and February, we were moving defensive assets to Cyprus and Qatar. Fighter jets, air defense missiles, advanced radar, and systems to take down drones, to ensure we were in a heightened state of readiness in advance of any conflict beginning. When the strikes began on Saturday, we immediately put those jets into the sky on a mission to protect our people and our allies in the region. And that is what they have done, flying over Cyprus and the wider region, shooting down multiple drones, at least one of which was heading towards a base housing British military personnel. Our jets were in the sky again last night, over Jordan, Qatar, and other partners, refueling in the air to prolong their mission. And we're constantly resupplying our jets and our missile stores. And we are responding to requests from allies in the region for further help. I can announce today that we're sending 4 additional Typhoon jets to join our squadron in Qatar, to strengthen our defensive operations in Qatar and across the region. Wildcat helicopters with anti-drone capabilities are arriving in Cyprus tomorrow. The Defence Secretary is on the ground in Cyprus right now, coordinating our work and meeting our brave servicemen and women. We're deploying HMS Dragon to the Mediterranean. And we have allowed the US to use British bases to conduct defensive operations to take out Iranian missiles before they're fired at our people and our allies. We will maintain this shield over British people in the region and our allies. We are working to strengthen it every day. and we're working as fast as possible to get our people out. As of today, over 140,000 individuals in the region have registered their presence, enabling us to get them the information and the support that they need. We have rapid deployment teams on the ground in Oman and Saudi Arabia. And our consular teams are helping hundreds of the most vulnerable individuals. Despite airspace closures, we're working around the clock with airlines, travel companies, and governments to open safe routes home. More than 4,000 people have now arrived back in the United Kingdom on commercial flights from the UAE, including vulnerable Brits identified by our teams. A further 7 flights are due to leave the UAE for the UK today. And I can report that our first charter flight from Oman took off a few minutes ago. We will lay on additional charter flights in the coming days. British Airways is putting on daily flights from Oman, and we will keep working with all of our partners to increase the speed and capacity of this airlift. I want to be very clear. This is a huge undertaking. It's one of the biggest operations of its kind, many times bigger than the evacuation from Afghanistan. It's not going to happen overnight, but we will not stop until our people are safe. I also want to say a word about the economic impact. Iran is targeting oil and gas facilities in the Gulf and tankers in the Straits of Hormuz, trying to inflict economic pain around the world. So we will continue to work with the industries affected and our allies to respond to any impact. And this is where the long-term changes that we're delivering for the British people are paying off. We have the right plan for defence, delivering the biggest increase in defence spending since the Cold War to strengthen our armed forces and keep people safe. We have the right plan for our economy. As the Chancellor said on Tuesday, we're sticking to that plan so we can cut energy bills and help keeping families with the cost of living and helping them. We also have the right plan for our energy supplies, building up clean British energy like never before, decreasing our dependence on volatile international markets, and creating the energy security and independence that we need. Faced with this new geopolitical crisis, the sad fact is that some will try to use it to divide us. That's why the government is reaching out to communities across the United Kingdom, Jewish and Muslim alike, making sure that communities and places of worship have appropriate protective security in place. But look, as a nation, we should come together in this moment. Those citizens that are stuck in the region, scared and in need of help, come from all backgrounds. The armed forces who protect them come from all backgrounds too. We are united by our common humanity and our love of this country. This conflict could continue for some time. So I want you to know that your government is resolute in our response, at home and abroad. We will do everything we can to protect British lives, uphold British values, and safeguard the national interest. Thank you. And now I'll take some questions. And I've got Chris, BBC first, please.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Chris Mason at BBC News. Can you address directly those at home and abroad who see your response and see indecision, prevarication and a lack of preparedness? Thank you.
Yes, let me address that, because as I said a moment ago, we started pre-deploying to the region in January and February, particularly to Cyprus and Qatar, and that was fighter jets, air defence missiles, advanced radar and anti-drone systems. Now, we did that during the course of 8 or so weeks. We did that in conjunction with the US and with our allies, and we continue to bolster the capability that we have there to keep our people safe. So there's been a lot of pre-planning gone into this, a lot of pre-deployment that's gone into this, and I'm satisfied that we can keep our people safe, and we're working very hard to make sure that wherever people have registered their presence, we can help them with the information that they need and the support they need, and get them back to the United Kingdom as quickly and as safely as possible. Thank you, Chris. Robert Peston, ITV.
Yeah, Robert Peston, ITV. Prime Minister, I was very struck by your choice of words. You said that you stand by what you called your initial decision not to join the offensive operations of Israel and America against Iran. Does that mean that decision is subject to review? You're concentrating at the moment on defensive military activity, but could it turn into offensive activity?
Well, as you will understand, we're working with our allies and with the US on this. We've been doing that for some time. The pre-deployment was done in conjunction and in discussion with our allies and with the US. And we have that capacity in the region that we pre-deployed to the region, and we're bolstering that in the way that I've set out today. The US are using the basis to do these strikes into Iran to take out the capability to launch the strikes in the first place. So that is the configuration, that is the understanding and arrangements that we've got in place. Thank you, Robert. Beth, can I come to you?
Oh, thank you. Prime Minister, this escalating war is really frightening people that are watching today. President Trump says it will go on for 4 to 5 weeks. You've just said it will be some time. Do you have any sense of how long it could go on for? Do you agree with President Trump? What's your message to the British people worried about how it's going to affect their lives? Can you give them any reassurance that you'll help them on energy prices? And just secondly, on military operations, there's much unhappiness that military personnel and their families were left unprotected on the Cyprus airbase that was struck at the weekend. What went wrong? And do you apologise to them? Thank you.
Well, Beth, let me set out my number one message, which is that our absolute priority is the safety of our citizens. And that is the focus for all the decisions that I have taken, including the decisions to pre-deploy in the way that I've described, and the decisions we're taking every day in order to deal with the situation on the ground in the region, the consular work to get people safely back home, and also what we're doing within the country, obviously, in relation to the division that can arise in situations like this. In relation to Cyprus, we've obviously had an airbase there for a very long time. There are protective measures in place, have always been in place. It's always been a protected airbase. It's not something new to protect the airbase. We pre-deployed further assets to Cyprus in January and February for that purpose. And we're bolstering that. So I want to be really clear to everybody in Cyprus that we're taking every measure that is needed to protect them, to protect the airbase, along with the other places in the region. Thank you very much, Beth.
Do you think it will go on?
Oh, I'm sorry. In relation to how long it will go on, I do know people are worried. They are going to be worried about any escalation. I think they can see what's unfolding on their television screens. That will cause them anxiety, understandably. They will be worried about the impact on their own lives that this could have, and those with family and friends in the region will be extremely worried about their family and friends in the region. I absolutely understand that. We are doing everything we can to de-escalate this. I can't give you a time base for this. I don't think anybody can. My strong view is that we need to de-escalate, and ultimately this will have to be a matter of negotiation when it comes to some of the core issues like nuclear capability. Thank you, Beth. Paul McNamara, Channel 4. Paul.
Afternoon, Prime Minister. There are reports that you walked into a meeting, the National Security Council on Friday, with one opinion and had your mind changed by Ed Miliband and others in your cabinet. So is it true that you wanted on Friday to give Americans a precautionary permission in the event of Iranian reprisals to use British bases for defensive action, but had your mind changed by Ed Miliband and other members of your cabinet?
Let me be really clear about this. No request from the US came in the specific terms that we acceded until Saturday afternoon. Saturday afternoon. Well, just hear me out. And therefore, on Friday, there was no concrete decision to be made. The decision had to be made when we had the request. That came in on Saturday during the course of the afternoon. We're already taking measures in relation to our own capability. That came in on Saturday afternoon, late in the afternoon. We then, as you would have expected, went through the details with the US over the next day and ultimately reached a decision on Sunday, which I announced then on Sunday evening about 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. But actually on Friday, we didn't have a request from the United States and therefore no decision fell to be made. The decision fell to be made when we had the request. That was Saturday afternoon. We then worked it through. Decision on Sunday, which was a decision of all ministers, unanimous, that we should take the action that I then announced. Thank you very much indeed. Catherine from GB News.
Thank you, Catherine Forster, GB News. Prime Minister, Cyprus, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates and others are being critical of the speed of our response. Have we let our allies and our own people down in the Middle East? We've still got a warship sitting in Portsmouth. And also, you said yesterday how in Munich you said we need to go further and faster on defence spending. But getting to 3%, let alone 3.5%, seems to have been kicked way into the long grass. When is your rhetoric actually going to be matched by the reality of when you're putting money into defence?
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. I know you'll have heard me said a moment ago, we started pre-deploying in January and February our assets to the region to make sure that we had the capability that we needed there. That wasn't an isolated set of decisions. It was done in conjunction with the US, in conjunction with our allies, and we're bolstering that again. And therefore, I can say we're doing everything and have done everything we can at speed to make sure that we are properly protecting our citizens, which was my number one concern. And that's why it's very important that I set out the pre-deployment measures that we took. Can I also say on defence spend, we've obviously already increased our defence spend with the highest spending now on defence since the Cold War. And I've set out when I was at NATO summit last year and at Munich this year that we need to go further and faster, and that's what we'll do. Thank you very much, Catherine. I've got Stephen from The Times. Stephen.
Prime Minister, Donald Trump has suggested that you've ruined the special relationship, that you are no Churchill. On the special relationship, is he right on that? Have you ruined the special relationship?
Look, the special relationship is in operation right now. We're working with the Americans in the deployment from our bases. We are working together in the region. The US and the British working together to protect both the US and the British in joint bases where we're jointly located, and we're sharing intelligence on 24/7 basis in the usual way. That is the special relationship. That is a special relationship in operation. And clearly it's for the President to take decisions that he considers in the national interest, the right decisions for the US. I understand that, I respect that. But equally, it's for me as the British Prime Minister to take decisions that I consider to be in the best interest of the United Kingdom. There's nothing controversial about that. The special relationship is operating right here at an important point. Thank you very much, Stephen. Pippa from The Guardian.
Yes, Prime Minister. Obviously, you said a lot of people are very concerned about this conflict escalating. Has Donald Trump given you any insight into what his plan is for what comes next after the initial bombing phase? And are you convinced he has a plan? And if I can just push on the defence spending point, because increasing in defence spending to 3% of GDP by 2030 would take up all real terms growth, unless, of course, you're raising money elsewhere to pay for it. Are you going to raise money to pay for it, or are you going to make cuts elsewhere?
Firstly, on the risk of escalation, clearly that is a concern for everybody. It will be a concern for everybody who is watching and across the country. And that's why we've been absolutely clear that we need to de-escalate. In relation to discussions with the Americans, obviously they're happening at all levels. I've had discussions with President Trump, but all of my team are having discussions all the time with the Americans about the operation. In relation to defence spending, we've set out our plans for the increase that we've already put in place. I've made commitments at the NATO summit last year and at the Munich conference, and I was clear then that we will need to go further and faster. Thank you very much, Pippa. And Sophie from the Mirror. Sophie.
So the current situation in the Middle East could potentially lead to the displacement of millions of people in the region. Are you expecting this to play out in more asylum claims, including small boat arrivals from the region? And are you concerned that cuts to the international aid budget could impact the UK's ability to handle situations exactly like this? And if I can also just ask, have you spoken to Donald Trump since his criticism of you?
In relation to the situation that's developed, obviously we don't yet know how long this will last. We don't know what the full impact will be, and therefore we'll have to address those considerations as we get to them. And we will, because we're planning both the immediate day-to-day response, but also looking at the further scenarios into the future. In relation to Donald Trump, I spoke to him on Saturday evening this last weekend. Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.